But before any of that, you should have the right mindset, because having the right mindset and the right definition about your startup will set you on the right path. So you think you have a great idea and you pitch your idea to a few VCs and probably they're ready to give you some money. But wait, you're probably skipping a lot of steps. Did you know that the number one reason for any startup to fail is building product that no one cares about? And actually, this is what most startups do. Actually, when I went to the 500 Startups Accelerator, they gathered us in one day and they said, by the way, most of you are going to fail because we do not know to what extent your product is really needed in the market. We do not know whether you're going to reach what's so-called the product market fit. And this is actually what all the startups are looking for. So today I'm going to explore a few interesting questions about the product market fit. We're going to discuss what is a startup and why we're not calling it a small business. And second, we're going to discuss what is an idea validation in general and why do you need it? And is it a milestone that you need to reach and then after that you're good to go? Or is it something else? And then we're going to talk about the 3 phases of the product market fit, starting from idea validation all the way to finding a scalable and sellable product or a problem that you're solving much more effectively than everyone else. So let's dive in. All right, I may ask you and say, how do we reduce startup casualties? Since we now know what is a startup and what an entrepreneur needs to do. And some may say, Mo, I know all the prototyping tools, I know Figma and I know others, and I can really do stuff really quickly, and I know design thinking. Well, if this is how you're thinking of the idea validation and how you can reach the product market fit, then just keep listening to this video. I know that you need it badly. Now you may ask me, Mo, if it's not about building prototypes and showing them to customers, what is an idea validation and why do I need to think about it differently? Now the idea validation is all about finding a big problem that your target customers care about. They would pay you money to solve it for them. And let me give you that classical example that I probably gave you before in one of my videos. If you have a dent in your car and if you have a rat in the house, your wife, your partner called you and told you there's a rat in the house. Which one of them is a big problem for you? And which one of them is just an inconvenience? Probably the first one, you're just going to wait for a bit until you solve it. And maybe not solve it at all if it's small. But for the second one, you would leave whatever you're doing, call a company, happily pay them to get rid of that problem for you. So an idea validation is all about assessing first whether the problem that you're solving is important and big enough in the market and for your customers. Now, it doesn't come by just creating prototypes and showing them to your customer. You need to understand the customer pains and goals and what do they need in life, and when this problem get triggered, how do they feel, how do they usually behave, what do they usually do in the first few moments or days or weeks depending on the urgency of the problem. All of these are important factors for you to understand, and maybe sometimes you need to live the pain yourself to truly say that you understood how the customer thinks and what are their pains and goals when they try to solve that problem that you're after. Now you may ask you, well, maybe I should just sit with them, interview them, and I can just ask the right questions. Now the problem is that you do not know exactly what kind of questions you need to ask them. You need to just explore with them. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're building a fitness app and now you're interviewing someone, and you may ask that person, well, do you practice? And you may ask that person, do you work out? And they may confirm, yes, I do work out. Or maybe they would tell you, no, I don't care about working out. And then maybe you would ask them, well, why you're not going to the gym? And they may tell you it's far away. And then you may actually get ahead of yourself and ask them, what if I can remove that overhead from you? That's wrong. This is not the right path that you should go through. The right question is, how do you define fitness for you? When was the last time you took care of your health? Because this is the generic category that you are working on, and so on. This is a customer discovery. You're trying to know what are their motivations rather than trying to get only into the specific problem that you're solving. Maybe it's not relevant for them. Maybe it's not relevant at all, and you may come with a much bigger idea for your startup and your customers. Now, idea validation or validating your startup idea is a journey. It's not a milestone that you reach and then you're done. And actually, there are startups that were able to go through the journey. They found the product market fit and then they lost it. So there are 3 phases when it comes to finding the product market fit or to go through the idea validation journey. Number 1, you need to assess the size of the problem. And we talked about this earlier. Is it a big enough problem? Is it a dent on your car or is it a rat in the house? How big is the problem? You need to assess whether the market is big enough or not. And the second phase is the problem solution fit. And the problem solution fit is all about whether you were able to find an effective solution for the problem or not. You may find a big problem and you may find your customers acknowledging that's a critical and important problem for you. But can you present an efficient and scalable solution that can solve that problem for your existing customers and future customers so that you become a billion-dollar company or not? And then if you figured out this part, then the next phase, which is the product market fit. And this is the holy grail of that whole process. It's all about now making sure that you can sell your product or service with a consistent message to the biggest number of users. You do not have only 10 users or 20 or 1,000. You can get into 10,000. You can get into 100,000 with almost the same message because you are able to figure out a big chunk of the market that has that problem and they're thinking the same way about the problem and they have a unified mental model about how it can be solved, and you present it to them in an efficient way, and boom, they buy from you. So let me close with a few points here. You as an entrepreneur probably going to spend a sizable percentage of your life building your own startup. And the biggest waste in that whole process is building a product or a service that no one cares about. You do not want to be at that site. It's a journey that starts with assessing whether the problem is big or not. But before any of that, you should have the right mindset, because having the right mindset and the right definition about your startup will set you on the right path. Again, a startup is a group of people who are looking for repeatable business, and that may take you some time. But if you're focused on that goal at the beginning, you're building a very solid foundation for your company. Remember, you have to follow what is right for you and for your customers, and money will follow.